This video is a quick demo on how to increment a pointer. So I've got a very simple program where we have an integer value that is assigned 10, and we are just printing the value before we call the function increment, and then after the call we also print out the value again. So let's see what this how this runs. But just to show you what's happening in increment, we've actually tried to increment the pointer by 1, but let's see if this gives us correct results. So the program is not really working as expected. It's before we send it to the function, it's 10, and after that it's still 10. It should be incremented by 1 and giving us 11 here. So that's what we want, but it's not really working. So let's just have some print statements to see what's happening inside the function. So before, I'm just going to put in brackets inside, and I'm also going to put another print statement after. I'm also going to dereference the values of the pointer, dereference the pointer. So let's run it and see what we get. So what we get here is inside the function it's 10, before the call to the function it's 10, and after that it's still 10, but inside the function here is what's happening. So we've got 10, which is okay at this point, but then we do this incrementing, and then after we print it out, it's actually giving us some memory address. So what's happening there is if I dereference these, just print out the memory address of these pointers, what we actually get is the memory address, and you can see the difference between the memory addresses. Now, that pointer arithmetic operation we've done here, the plus, is just increased the address by the size of an integer. So the size of an integer is typically 4 bytes on many systems. So that's why we've got that 80 plus 4, 84. So that's not really what we want. What we actually want is to first, we don't want to increment the pointer itself, and that's what's happening here. We are incrementing the pointer itself, not the value of not the value that the pointer is pointing to. So to increment the value that the pointer is pointing to, we will just add it. Oh, sorry, I've done it wrongly. Just use parentheses basically. So what we are saying here is we first dereference the pointer and increment the value, which is what we want to do. So let's see how we compile and run. So we can see there's no incrementing happening for the memory address, which is great, but now let's print out the values. Let's dereference the pointer. Okay, so what's happening is before that's the call before we call the function. Inside the function, before we increment the value, it's 10, and after that it's 11, which is exactly what we want. And after coming back from the function call, the value of the variable is being manipulated, so it has been changed, and that's also because we've passed it in by reference. Okay, so that's pretty much how you increment the pointer. So don't forget, you first dereference it and then you increment the value, where on the other hand, doing something like this, here what happens is you first, this is what's happening first, you increment the pointer and then you dereference the original pointer. This is something that you do when you iterate an array or a sequence of values. So what happens, I'm just going to put it in a comment, happens first, then the dereference. then the dereference happens second. So that's not what we want, okay? Whereas here, what's happening is that we first, I just don't want to write it again. We first dereference the pointer, and then okay, I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.